Stephanie Sanzo, welcome to the Ingrid Barclay podcast. I'm really excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. We go way back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we see each other randomly at the gym sometimes, and we're always on for a chat. And I always love seeing you. I mean, we did a bit of work together for a while there, and then you've kind of taken off in a big way. And I guess you're a personal trainer yourself now, and I just call you Insta famous. Like you're just like you got it all going on Instagram, and it's really good to have you here so that we can have a little chit chat about all of that. So, some of my followers might not be familiar with you. Some of them definitely are, Steph. But it might be good to start with a little bit about how you got into health and fitness yourself. Where did it all begin for you?
Right. I guess these things are never just an overnight thing. They're always a long journey. For me, it feels like that, especially. Uh, I basically wasn't the fitness person. I was very not interested at all. I didn't like feeling uncomfortable or sweating or anything to do with hurting. I was a typical like stay in my comfort zone, but my circumstances in my private life really forced me to think outside the box. And I would almost call it a survival thing for me getting into fitness. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to go do fitness because I want to get fit and healthy. For me, it was going through divorce and having two kids on my own and having to now be the sole carer of these kids. And financially, I needed to be able to put myself in a position where I could make sure that we were going to survive, basically. So that's what actually brought me into fitness. I saw there was like a course going, which was the personal training course in the paper. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to study this because then I can kind of work for myself, um, you know, while having kids, and it's not going to really disturb me being away from them too much. So that's the main reason I actually got into fitness, was to be able to work and provide.
So that's a little bit different to the normal story.
Mm,
Quite often, it's very much driven from a desire to change the way that we look, and one thing leads to another. Whereas it sounds like for you, it was in many ways a far deeper reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely was. And I think, like looking back now, that's the beauty of it, because even my position in what I'm doing now is very deep. It's just not a matter of getting girls fit or putting out, fitness content. There's always a real depth to it, and I'm very passionate about it. And it means a lot more to me than just looking good for summer.
I would hope so. I would not like to have chosen someone so superficial to come and have a chat with, Steph.
Unfortunately, the fitness industry can be a little bit that way, a little bit superficial. But hopefully, there's good people in there like you and I that are wanting to change it, and I guess change the stigma of what fitness is.
Yeah, for sure. So how long does that actually mean that you've roughly been training yourself for, Steph?
So I would say 8 years now.
8 years.
Um, and I guess the level of intensity during that 8 years is always going to be different. So if I was to say the intensity that I'm training at now, that would probably be last 4 years. But as far as like starting in the fitness journey and lifting weights or doing cardio, it's a total of 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about your own exercise regime a little bit later. But let's go straight into some Insta questions, because I'll be honest, my community is more around my Facebook page, and I'm not really that invested, if you like, in Instagram. Perhaps I should be. So I just cut to the chase and ask you, what's it like to be an Insta star?
And it's such a funny question. I get it all the time. And I only wish that I could view myself like that. I don't, I see Instagram as a community and a platform to be able to share knowledge and inspire. So I don't actually see it as like, as myself as an influencer and then me being insta famous. I just see it as an opportunity to be able to spread my knowledge further than just, a couple of hundred people. So it's I guess it's still weird to me, to be honest. Like if I'm somewhere and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, I follow you," I'm like still in shock. I'm like I don't know what to say because I'm just over here doing my thing, but on a public level. So yeah, it's still weird to me.
Yeah, I actually can relate to that in some ways. I remember myself going along to my first Arnold uh, show, and somebody came up to me and she was actually fanning her face, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I came here to see Amy Fox and blah, blah, Dana Lynn Bailey and da da da, but you're the person I most wanted to meet." And I wasn't even competing. I was just walking around in the crowd and I was like, really? Really? Like, how bizarre. And it was a real shock. So I can understand what you're saying there. And it's always surprising, and you've probably come across it many times. You never know who's watching you and who's following you. Have you had that where, people say, "Oh, I've been following you for a couple of years or whatever," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow," because you know them, but you didn't know that they were following you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always really humbling too, especially when it's someone that you say, at the start of your fitness journey that you kind of signed up to and followed, and now they're commenting on you, and you're like, whoa, like you see me, how do you even know me? Like, and then you have to contain yourself because you don't want to look like a fool. But I've had many instances like that where I'm just in shock. But it's nice. It's nice to know that there's people out there watching, and it's not just, like I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's
Yeah,
actually scary as well because you have to be really careful what you put out there. Be
yeah,
smart.
yeah. You do. So, like with what you do put out in your posts, what are your more popular types of posts, Steph?
So in the beginning, it used to be a lot of photos, and that was popular at the time. But Instagram's kind of shifted into favoring a lot of videos and carousels and stuff like that. So for me right now, it's definitely the fitness videos. Um, that's just really engaging. It's what people are after, especially during these times as well. People are feeling a little bit lost, and you're giving them a workout to do or some inspiration. So I think that's really important. But I definitely think videos right now for Instagram are highly favored.
Yeah, right. And what what do you feel is your obligation to your audience? Like, do you feel like you're there to inform them and impart knowledge, or are you there to inspire, or are you there for entertainment purposes? What do you think your obligation is?
I I always say I used to because I'm evolving, but for me it used to be entertainment, and that's how I grew really quickly. But the more that I guess the longer that I've started to do this in time, it's turned into inspire and impart wisdom and knowledge. And I think because after a while, if you don't give back, people lose interest and it becomes a pretty empty thing if you're not giving back to the community. So it was all good and well to put these entertaining videos out, big lifts, but it's not relatable at the end of the day. It's just like, oh yeah, you're there to entertain, but you're not really giving much. If anything, you're probably making people feel worse about themselves that they can't accomplish that. So I like to make sure that I'm encouraging people, giving wisdom about what they're capable of, and that they can do it too, and giving them programs and the knowledge to get there instead of just being like, look at me, look at my big lift. Let's show people how they can do it and how they can change their lifestyle. So yeah, for me now it's more so imparting that wisdom and giving.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're right. I think if you have followers in the fitness industry, you can't just be there for inspo, for motivation, because I mean, you've probably got a younger audience than me, not necessarily, but, generally speaking. But as I was discussing with someone a little bit earlier, people want substance, don't they?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
They want to know what they can get from you.
yeah, yeah. And you've got to have some really good nuggets of information, or they won't keep coming back to your posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a
So,
place. There's a
sorry.
place. There's a place for those lifts. So if you do like a big heavy lift, there's like a pie. There's a place for that. There's a place for the knowledge. There's the place for the inspiration, and it keeps going. So making sure that you have a balance of all things, I think, is a wise idea.
One thing that I'm not really familiar with is your sweat program. So, can you tell the listeners a little bit about that? Because obviously that's a very, very important part of your Instagram. So, talk to us. Tell us about it.
So Sweat is a fitness app, a women's fitness app. And this is a pretty popular app. There's thousands of girls doing this. And on this app, we have trainers and different levels of training. So it might be like a yoga person, someone doing body weight exercises, someone like me doing bodybuilding. So you select the trainer that suits your style or where you want to be in your fitness journey. So I'm on that app as me, and within it I put my own programs out, so you can join me, and if you sign to the Sweat app you can join anybody. So it's just a platform for women to come together and create a community, as well as find a program that suits them. And the programs, we keep pumping out the programs, so they keep updating and you're just never bored. There's not the one program, it just keeps going over time.
Okay. So they get to choose to work with you, and like how personalized is it, and how much do they interact with you personally, Steph?
So it's very, I can't speak for the other trainers. I can only speak for myself, but I choose to take this very personally. So if people are doing my program and then DMing me on Instagram, which is what they do, they're sharing their progress, they're asking questions. I'm very interactive with them personally. I find that this makes them feel motivated with their training program. It makes them feel like they're one-on-one with me, which keeps them around as well. And I think watching their progress and uh, I guess seeing them get stronger is really rewarding for me as a trainer, and it makes me feel involved in what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm personally very personable with them.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's what I would want if I was signing up with somebody. I mean, the more personal, we all want to feel like somebody is in our corner batting for us, don't we? I mean,
100%.
even you would in your own training, even I do with my own training, no matter what level you're at, we always want somebody that we feel is, really supporting us.
Yeah. I mean, and when it gets hard too, you get to just message and say, you know what, I'm struggling this week. And instead of me saying, oh, maybe take a rest, I'm the trainer that says, you know what, we all struggle. Like, just get it done. I have to do it. You have to do it. You won't get stronger if you just won't push through. And they're like, oh, thank you. I needed to hear that. So just having someone to back your corner when you're in doubt.
Absolutely. Well, funny you should say that, because just today I posted on my personal Instagram a photo of some interaction between myself and my coach, because for one reason or another, I've got a really, really bad case of CBF at the moment. And this is very unlike Ingrid. And I'm struggling. And then our state show got pushed back at least another 6 weeks as of a couple of days ago. And my mojo just went and hid in a closet and decided that it's staying there. So I messaged my coach and I said, can you please tell me to get my butt out into the gym? Well, I won't say what he responded with, but it is up there on Instagram. But point being that, even as an elite lifter, I've never said that to my coach, but in this particular week I did, because I need someone's support. So yeah, we all need it at certain stages in our training cycle, don't we? So one thing I was a bit curious on, because occasionally I'll see some comments on a post that you've done, and I might not necessarily have even read your post, but I see like 600 comments. Now, Steph, how do you keep up with all of that? That's crazy. I struggle to keep up with 5 comments.
So I guess it's I have a structure. I'm very consistent in what I do with my training, with the kids, with everything is regimented. So I treat Instagram the same so that I can give back consistently. So for me, it might be like getting up at a certain time in the morning, and I know the process that I have to do to get my online work done. So I'll, go through last night's comments from last night's post. I'll go through all my tags. I'll go through all my DMs. And once I've done that, I'll put the phone down, and then it's not till the next day that I will go through it again. If I try and do it all throughout the day, picking up my phone every 2 seconds, it's just too overwhelming. So I just have that committed time, like a routine, and I just get it done then.
Right. Yeah. That sounds very, very civil, Steph. I like it. Structure, and maybe some of the listeners could actually take away that advice, even just in their general life. Even I could. I think that's great to have that allocated time, because we can really let notifications and tags overwhelm us when we're trying to keep up with stuff. I know it's hard for me, and I'm nowhere near at your level with social media. So, yeah. Oh well, that's interesting. So, could you tell us what a typical day looks like for you, Steph?
Yes. So
I
because
just
I
just just to finish, I think because I think people might not understand that this is your full-time job. Like this
yeah.
is what you do. So it would be kind of really fascinating to hear like what your day does consist of.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, it's just that structure and routine. So basically, the moment I wake up, I used to straight away get on my phone and get back to everybody, but I found mentally that kind of worked against me because the first thing when I woke up, I would read either negative comments, which we all get, and I don't get a lot of them, but there will be one or two comments that I'd see first thing waking up that might just get in straight away. And I had to really protect myself. So, normally speaking, I'll get up and I'll just go to my bathroom. I'll just wash my face, take a deep breath. Um, Once I've done that, so I've given to myself, I'll come out and I'll do the kids' lunch boxes, get their, breakfast ready, get them ready for school because I do have school-aged kids now, which I'm lucky, which gives me a lot of time to be able to do this job during the day. But once we get them off to school, it's basically straight into that Instagram work, which I was just mentioning before, getting back to everybody from yesterday or any questions that anyone has. I'll go through emails, get back to people. After I've done that, it's basically straight on content training time. I call it content slash training because it's still my training, but I'm just documenting it and putting it online. So I'm getting that content, whether it's stories or the training and putting it on the feed. After training, it's basically come inside, do the housework, the washing, everything else that it gets crazy with kids. The house gets left in a pigsty. So I'm such a clean person too. So I like everything gets cleaned. And then I'm back onto like picking the kids up, doing dinner, and then back to making the content, which my partner actually helps me with. And he plays a huge role in what I do as well, because he trains me out in the gym and gets the content as well. So we work together as a really good team. And he probably doesn't get enough credit for what he does behind the scenes. So he's been a great support, but yeah, he'll help me create the content at night time, and we write up the posts and get everything ready. And then we're back to, getting kids back to bed and then posting. And it's just like this really repetitive, lifestyle, which we try and break, by the way, because I think when things become really repetitive, you start to get a little bit depressed, some people. So we try and break the mold, and I'll try and go out for a coffee with him or do something or catch up with some other girlfriends and just give me a bit of time too, because sometimes you just put out and you don't put back in, and you end up feeling a little bit just overwhelmed. So I'll do that. With that being said, though, also in the morning, I like to put on my makeup to feel good for the day. Not everyone's a big makeup fan. I grew up like this, where I saw my mum wear a lot of makeup, and I think sometimes you project what you feel on the outside. So if my house isn't clean and I'm not feeling like my hair's done and I put on some makeup, I probably don't feel the best, and I want my day to run smoothly, and I want to feel confident in everything that I'm doing. So I'll take the time to do that in the morning and listen to a podcast while I'm at it. And yeah, so it's a very busy day now that I'm
It's a huge day. Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of got every minute virtually allocated.
I think so, yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's it works for me.
yeah. I'm hearing that you're very, very structured. You know, you're
Yeah.
very planned. You're very organized. Um, that was really the Steph that I met in the early days anyway. So it doesn't surprise me. Although it's interesting to hear about how you feel about makeup, and I think that what you've just cited is a wonderful reason to why you wear your makeup. Like, you know, who doesn't want to feel good and project an image? And it's, again, I'm getting from you, it's not just a vanity thing. There's other stuff that's going on there. Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, people might look at you and make quite wrong assumptions. Perhaps I know you a little better than that, but you know, this is good. I also heard in there a couple of other things that just to pick up on. One was about like some negative comments. I know in the early days of Figure It Out, Steph, if I got a negative comment, I was devastated. Devastated for the day. It would really, really upset me. And it's taken me quite a lot of time to develop a bit of a thicker skin. And even now, if I'm really honest, sometimes I still want to get on there and go, but this and but that, and you don't know where I was coming from type thing. How do you deal with trolls?
Yeah. I was a little bit like you in the beginning. When I saw a negative comment, I would let it get in. I say get in because, we all have a heart, and you got to protect it sometimes and not allow people to say what they want about you. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and unfortunately, there is people that like to voice it out loud. So just making sure that you are protecting yourself, and that's something I had to learn earlier on in this game that I like to call the Instagram game. So now what happens is, if I get a negative comment, I look at my Instagram as my house, and that's basically allowing someone to come into my house and trash it. I would never allow anyone to come into this house and trash it or just disrespect my children or my partner or myself. So Instagram is my house, and in my house is the family, the community, and all of those people in it that are there to be inspired or to gain knowledge or to get healthier. They don't want to see that. So I don't want that in my house. So I delete it so that no one else has to read it or no one else can add on top of it and cause a problem. So if I see that, it's gone, and it's gone from me, and I don't care. Like I used to care, but I just feel like when people make comments like that, it's coming from their own insecurity. Because, like, normally speaking, you don't say something about someone else unless it makes you disturbed or gives you a problem, which means it's coming from them, not me. So that's not my problem, and I recognize that, so I don't take it personally. I just feel bad that people feel the need to do that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just delete basically.
Yeah.
And block if you have to, and then it was never there, and it doesn't worry you. But definitely don't. Whatever you do, don't leave it. Don't leave it sitting there for everyone else to read or to add on top of. You worth more than that, and it has to go. It's your house.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, within Instagram, is there any people that you particularly follow that you really dig their posts and are an avid fan of?
I wouldn't. I know this sounds weird, but I wouldn't say there's like certain accounts that I guess, follow to be inspired by, or people. It's more so like my own community, like watching those mothers and even girls that aren't mums just doing the workouts and smashing them. I like to really follow their progress. I do like to follow people like myself that are going out there putting content out. I think supporting them as well is inspiring to me because I'm watching them do it every day. So I'm doing it with them and we're all just putting this content out, which is really awesome. I really like to follow though. There's a page now I'm thinking about it called I think it's called Make You Motivation. I can't say it. Make You Valley Motivation maybe. And basically this page puts out like mash-up videos of like a person, could be anyone, could be like Larry Wills, and they'll just do like this motivation talk on the top of it, and then this person's like working out and like sweating, and that really motivates me when I watch that. So yeah,
Okay.
like yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I
It's
should check that out.
yeah, you should. It's pretty inspiring. I have to get you the right name though. I think I just really didn't do it justice just then.
And just one other thing that I did forget to touch on with your previous answer, but you did allude to having a pretty good partner in crime who doesn't get enough credit. And I even gave it some thought to whether I'd mention him or not. But do you want to say anything about your partner and how you are a great team and what does he bring to your table?
So when Jamie and I first got together, Jamie Bissett's his name, Jamie, my partner. When we first got together, I was doing the Instagram thing, and he was actually the one that inspired me not only to power lift, but to put out fitness videos because I was really fearful of judgment or people saying you're doing it wrong, or I was just really embarrassed. I didn't have the confidence. And he was like, you should really put it out. I think it would do well. Like, don't worry about what people say. Like, get out of your own head. So he filmed me for the first time, actually, my very first fitness video, and put it together for me. And he really helped me overcome those fearful, burying judged. So having him by my side has been really instrumental in this whole process of growing the Instagram, because without him, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have had the confidence at the start to be able to put these videos out. So he played a big role from the beginning back then, and even to this day, supporting what I do and doing the filming and helping like put it all together. He's taught me a lot as well. You can go do a personal training course, but if you don't put it into action and learn as you go, it can just be all information. And I'm a very, I guess, visual person. So being able to put the exercises to use and go through the motions and learn was actually how I learned what I have learned with powerlifting and bodybuilding. So he's like, I feel like he's my other half. I feel like it's not Stephanie. I feel like it's us. Does that make sense? That's really a weird concept, I guess. I like to call it morphing. We've morphed into each other. I could get more of his brains, but he's just one of the smartest guys. I've learned so much from him.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful when you can work with a partner together and really collaborate, and you've both got unique skills that really mesh well to essentially bring a great product together. So, yeah, you are lucky, and I'm sure he feels lucky.
I hope so. I hope he feels as lucky as I feel.
So let's backtrack just a little bit to back to the early days. When I met you, you were really keen to do a bikini competition, and I think you ended up maybe doing 3 or 4.
I think so. Maybe in 5 from memory. I don't know.
Yeah,
Actually, they were like one after another.
and what was the overall experience of competing in bikini for you, Steph? Like, would you say that it was a positive experience? Was it good for you? Did you enjoy it? Tell us about that.
I think the very first comp I did was a good experience because I went into it wanting to do it, to challenge myself. I was new to the fitness industry. It was my first year of training back in 2013, I think it was. where I hired you as my coach, and that was a really good experience. I think as I went on, my reasoning to continue to compete was not out of, I guess, hitting my goals, but was more so out of fear of being on my own, living life normally. This came from, I guess, my mentality and my relationship between food and health. And I think it became unhealthy towards the end because I didn't educate myself further when it came to dieting or competing. I kind of went in with my blinkers on, blindsided to what it was really all about.
Well, what do you think bikini is really all about?
So it's a hard one. So for some, it's, showcasing their body. For others, it's like achieving a goal from where they've come from something to something else and they want to get to that level and prove to themselves. I think everybody has a different reason for competing. I just think mine was because I didn't like my body and didn't, I was too scared to not compete in case my body turned out to be something else because I didn't know how to diet on my own. Yeah, well, that's me personally. So I think that's why I haven't really gone back again because I want to make sure that my mentality is strong and that I'm doing things for the right reason, not because not because I don't like myself. I want to do it because I like myself.
I think that raises an important point, I've said this many, many times, but I really feel like so many girls, particularly the young girls, they compete in the hope that that's going to help them control their weight and to get them lean, to get them to this end point, rather than they get themselves to a point where they go, oh, I could compete now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that was me, that first reason of like, I wasn't happy with my body and I wanted to get lean. And competing was just a part of that. Looking back, like back then I wasn't thinking that, but looking back now, many years later, and figuring myself out, and you ask yourself questions why you do things. I'm really heavily interested in mentality as I've gotten older because this was what 7 years ago. I've done a lot of growing since then, and that was my reason. I had just had kids. Well, not just had, they were, maybe 4 years old. And I was like, how do I get lean? How do I lose this body weight? How do I learn how to diet? And like I jumped straight into things. So yeah, I think there are a huge majority of people like that, just wanting to get lean and not knowing how. And comps sometimes seem like the answer.
Oh, I think they very much seem like the shiny, glittery answer. And unfortunately, that's not at all what it is. And I think in many ways, Steph, it wasn't long after I was kind of coaching you that I started to lose my passion for uh, coaching, you know, all girls under that bodybuilding umbrella, because in many ways I think, yes, there's lots of ways to diet to get on stage, but if you're jumping off a cliff, it doesn't much matter if you've got a seatbelt on or not.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same result. And I think, um, you know, the industry kind of got to a point where you had these girls that were doing your division and the division up, Miss Fitness, Miss Bikini, and they're currently to this day kind of taking harder drugs and party drugs to get this end result. And I started to feel a personal backlash within inside myself going, this isn't sitting well with me. And I guess that's where I take nowadays a lot more of a holistic approach to getting somebody lean, and it feels good. I feel like that's the better way rather than using a competition as the stick and carrot.
Yeah.
But I also understand the girls that fall into the trap. I do get it, but I think it's the ones that perhaps like yourself that have learnt from it and can see the reasons and admit to it. That's really good and very healthy. And it's not wrong. It's just a learning thing, isn't it, Steph?
Yeah, there may be a time, like, later on in my life where I'm like, you know what, I want to compete because I want to, because I'm ready to, because I'm excited to. I want to challenge. And like when I get to that point, I think that, you never know what's in the future. And I wish that a lot more people could, I guess, see it that way instead of just another chance to do over their prom. Because basically some of these pageants, like they're wearing wings and crazy stuff. And it's so, like, it seems so attractive to do that, especially if you didn't do that in school, or your life's a little bit mediocre and you want to go do something crazy. Like, I get how that can kind of pull you in, and I would probably be the first in there with everyone. But yeah, I've been there and done that and experienced that. So I feel like I've leveled out a little bit, but everyone has to live their own journey, don't they? They have to experience it for themselves.
They do, but I am hearing never say never.
Never say never with anything. Who am I to say I'm not going to do it? I don't know what I'm going to be like in 5 years. I could go or something. Who knows? I don't even know how old I am. I'm 33.
And what about the powerlifting, Steph? I mean, I since you left kind of bikini competing, and I knew that you went to Strong Geelong, and obviously that's where you met Jamie, and then things really took a different turn for you. And without ever really having talked to you about it, it's become clear to me that you have a strong powerlifting influence, aka Jamie, and no doubt you developed quite a liking for it. But what led you to become more interested in powerlifting?
So what happened originally was I met Jamie because I used to train at a commercial gym, so Splashdown at the time, and he was the head trainer there. And I had just finished up my personal training courses, and I was just paying rent to this small little boxing gym that didn't really have much equipment. I was seeing my clients there, just kind of starting out. And he approached me and he said, "Hey, I'm opening up a gym, Strong Geelong. I want you to come on, work for us and do your PT there." So I started there, and after a year of being there, I realized, well, not realized, I kind of knew everyone around me, because of the atmosphere, were either strong men, strong women, or powerlifters. It was very heavily powerlifting, actually. So I had these clients that I was training just the way that I train them, not powerlifting focused. And they started to ask me questions, like, "Oh, what's that person doing over there?" Or if someone did a big lift, the whole gym would just stop and then everyone would be focused on that person. So it was just always there. So I approached Jamie at the time, and this is before we were dating. And I said, I would love to learn more about powerlifting. My clients are asking about it. It's not something I learned in my personal training course. Like, could you teach me so I can extend my knowledge to teach these girls? And he was like, "Okay, well, if I'm going to teach you, you're going to do it, so you can actually learn it." And I was like, "No, that's fine. Just teach me. Like, we'll just, I'm not interested. Like, I don't want to get big. I don't want to get bulky. Like, that's not my thing. I'm not, strong. I wet myself. Like, no." And he was like, "No, if I'm going to teach you, we're going to do it." I'm like, "Okay." So he started PTing me. And at the time, by the way, let's just talk about how sneaky he is. He was like, "Don't want you to pay me." I'm like, "No, you're personal training me. Like, I want to pay you." He's like, "I don't want you to pay me." And I'm like, "Okay, well, okay, just teach me then." And the reason why he didn't want me to pay him is because he didn't want to be my coach, because that would be unethical if we were to get together and he had eyes for me and I didn't know. So oblivious. That's a whole nother story, but that's how smart he is.
He's
But
sneaky.
already thinking about what's ethical or not before it's even happened. Um, he taught me how to powerlift, and I remember him doing a test. Like, once I learned the fundamentals of each lift, he's like, "Okay, now we're going to load up the bar and see what you can actually handle." So I remember like squatting for the second time, 100 kilos on my back. Like, it was a half squat, by the way, but he loaded me up to see what I was capable of. And he's like, "You're really strong." I was like, oh, really? He's pumping up my wheels. So yeah, then I learned all the lifts, and with the PT sessions we were doing, it turned in from like one to three per week, and I learned, yeah, basically from him how to do the three big lifts, and got stronger at it myself. And I think that when that happened, I really found that love and confidence with powerlifting, a newfound passion.
Funny that you mentioned, whilst smiling, I might add, that you peed yourself. And I was actually going to ask you, would you talk about that today? Because in all seriousness, that is an issue with us women. And, you know, I've heard a few sayings like, well, if it's not half a cup full, it doesn't count, and this, that, and the other. But do you do anything in particular for your pelvic floor muscles, Steph?
I have to, because I actually have a prolapse from children. And that was because when I had children, I was really young. And back then it was like, have a kid, get out of hospital, figure it out. I don't know what it's like now. It's probably the same for all I know. I wasn't educated much on pelvic floor and the importance of doing exercises and gaining that strength back. So after my second child, I went straight back into exercise and running, pelting on the pavement and not doing any exercises. So I dislodged, and I've got a problem now, which is, I do speak about this a lot, not so much on social media, but privately to the people that DM me and ask me. But yeah, so I think that's what deterred me from powerlifting, because I knew I had uh, that problem, and I was fearful that it would either get worse or I just wouldn't be able to control it. So as time has gone along, I've seen people about it and learned exercises I can do. I found training so much better on my pelvic floor than cardio. I was running. I was, doing high intensity things, trying to lose my baby weight, that it was making me worse. Whereas with lifting, I mean, you can sit down and do bicep curls if you want. I just didn't have that urgency on my bladder. So it's a lot better fit for me. However, in reference to what you're saying with the heavy deadlifts or like the squats, let's just say, that tendency to maybe wet yourself, I do have that like anybody else, and I just have to make sure in my mind that I'm breathing, but I'm bracing the other part of me at the same time. So I'm always constantly thinking about it when I'm lifting. And sometimes I will let the bar go instead of giving it a good go, because I have maybe let go a little bit of my bladder, and I don't want to wet the floor. I mean, I could, and a lot of people do, and have no problems with that. Steph Cohen, for one, she doesn't care, and she's amazing. But yeah, I still have that fear, and I probably don't go as hard as what I would want to go because of it.
Yeah.
Being honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's an annoying problem to have. I haven't had children, and it doesn't happen very often, but that occasional deadlift or squat, and I'll be like, "Whoa, okay, where did that come from?" And it's always a bit of a shock. But sorry.
You said it's always a bit of a, and I just filled in for you, shock, because it
Yes.
is. You're trying to focus on the lift, and then that's happening, and you're trying to stay focused, but you can't, because you've got two things going on at once. And
Yes. Yeah, and it does feel embarrassing despite, I think a lot of the coaches, especially the male coaches in powerlifting, they're pretty lackadaisical about it, like, hey, don't worry about it, which is good that they don't make anyone feel uncomfortable about it. So you haven't actually competed in a powerlifting competition?
I did a novice powerlifting competition at Strong Geelong when I was working there. That was my first experience, and I thought it was kind of a comfortable and great way to ease into it. I I did it. I actually won that show, which was fun and surprising.
Nice.
Right now, I've got a picture of it sitting like on my desk here, with my partner Jamie, and like a little trophy, which is cool. I had like these trophies from bikini comps, and then this little one with like the weights next to it. So it's like a gift. But It was a lot of fun. I was a bit silly though. I remember just having all these pre-workout and lollies, and I got myself so crazy in the head. Later on, I learned, you just treat it like any other day. Have a bit of pre-workout if you need it. I was just jacking it like the whole time, so I felt screwed like a week after I did it. But it was such a great experience.
It sounds like you had fun. So, do you personally, for yourself, do you prefer to train in a more powerlifting style or bodybuilding style?
So I do a blend. Well, I like to call it a blend. So power building. I still do my main powerlifting movements, and then I would do what I call the accessories to that, and do the bodybuilding movements. So I still get to keep the power, but also have the aesthetics of the bodybuilding because I enjoy both. So I just blend them together.
Nice, nice, yeah. I kind of feel like that's kind of what I do as well. Get that happy medium. So, um, and what is your favorite body part to train, Steph?
I just love quads, to be honest. Like there's something about the burn that I really enjoy. Um, I don't train them near as much as what I want to, isolation wise. But if I can get on a leg extension, I'll like to do like 200 reps. We've got a leg extension at home and it counts the reps. So I'll get on there and give myself a challenge. But it's lots of fun. Love leg extensions.
Leg extensions are about my least favorite, Steph. They burn like a mother.
Oh, you just get they do. But yeah, it's like you put your music on and you just kick those legs up, and it's just easy. I love it.
You're a masochist. All right, so trick question. If you're placed on a desert island and God said, all right, you've only got two exercises that you can choose to keep yourself in shape, which two exercises do you go for, Steph?
So if we're going to be smart, you would want to get more bang for your buck. So I would say my two favorite compounds, which would be deadlifts and squats. And you
Deadlifts
work
and squats.
hmm,
Nice choice.
at your choice or leg extensions.
De- Definitely not. Um, can you list four or five of your go-to other exercises that you just love and that you feel works really well for you personally?
4 or 5. Okay. I really enjoy doing the shoulders because it's one of those things where you get that instant results. I mean, like you'll sit there and you can see them getting pumped. So that's always really encouraging. So I always love doing, say, lateral raises, so hitting the shoulders. What else do I like? I like Zottoman curls. This is a bit of a different one, but just getting that burn both ways on your arms, that's always great. I like the different ones. I mean, they're not necessary, but sometimes just being creative when things get a bit repetitive is good to keep you interested. So yeah, Zottoman curls up the top there. I like your basic curls, your bicep curls too. Once again, for the aesthetic reasons of like you see the vein and you see the pump. That's always fun. Something about the pump, chasing the pump, as Arnie would always say. That's always an interest for me. Um, I was just thinking about my calves, and I have no reason why because I don't even train them. I rarely train my calves. I'm like, what do I do for my calves? That's something I need to work on. Like training the hammies. I don't give my hamstrings too much because I'm naturally, I guess, larger in that area. I think that has a lot of my genetics to play with large hamstrings. So I only probably train them once a week, but I'll do some, I don't know, do some stiff legs. They're always good. I'm a bit random all over my body. I don't have a specific part. I've actually just, now that I'm saying that, have thrown in abs for the last, I would say, 30 weeks. Before that, I never actually isolated my abs. I did this because I brought ab training into my programs and I wanted to make sure that I could actually do it before I put them in my programs. So I started doing that. And to be honest, I found a huge difference when it came to my major lifts, like the squat and the deadlift. I started going beltless. And I really believe that was due to training my abs and strengthening my core because before that I couldn't do beltless without, something collapsing or feeling like a strain. So I really believe that's helped transfer into other lifts.
Yeah, that's interesting, Steph. Thanks for that. I mean, I don't do anything beltless, but I hadn't trained my abs for maybe 5 or 6 years, and my coach Dan, over the last nearly 2 years, has got me working directly abdominal exercises, and there is no doubt I've reaped the benefits. No doubt. And I used to think that I was doing enough core engagement by just doing the three big pinnacles, and I now realize the error of my ways, and that's been an interesting experience. So I'm totally with you on that. I do have to laugh though. I love how you said that you had to make sure that you could do them, because it's really embarrassing when you go to try to demonstrate an exercise to a client and you don't do it very well.
True, it's true. And I think like you got to be accountable as well. It's not fair for you to put out these workouts, grueling workouts or exercises that you can't even do and expect everyone else to do it. So
No, there's something wrong with that big picture there. And finally, just wondering what your basic like nutrition might look like, Steph. Like, do you pay a lot of attention to your food, and what might a day look like of eating for you, Steph?
yeah, so I've been in the industry, 8 years now. I've been through a lot of different diets, I guess you could call them, and ways of eating. And I think it's a never ending game. You've got to do what works for you. And I'm always searching. So I've done many diets where I've done like eating steak 5 times a day, from like, going keto, eating no carbs. But right now I'm kind of eating holistically. So I just finished my HLC1 in holistic life coaching. And I did this course so that I could learn how to utilize food better in my body. I suffer from IBS. So my diet plays a huge role in what I do, and is very important to me. I wouldn't call it flexible at all. I would say that it's very, like most things in my life, very regimented. Everything's like put together really well. So I have a lower carb diet. I work with like higher fats and protein. That's what suits my body best. So I have a lot of meats in my diet, like chicken, like lean cuts of steak. I'll do a lot of salmon. I eat at least one salmon per day, or 100 grams, at least one serving per day. A lot of fresh veggies. So I'm going organic at the moment. So I'm eating like a lot of raw vegetables instead of kind of cooking all of the vitamins out of it. So everything is really natural at the moment, and that's really working for me. I'm feeling less tired, less bloated. I'm having more energy during my training. I'm able to kind of come down at night time. My blood sugars are stabilizing. I'm not waking up through the night. My circadian rhythms, my sleep cycle is pretty on point. Like I used to find it hard to go to sleep, or I'd take a sleep supplement to kind of come down, but everything's just like coming down naturally. So around about like 10:30 at night, my body's going to sleep, and like I'm actually sleeping. Whereas the old me would be like just trying to, still lie there while the other one's snoring. I'm like, go to sleep, go to sleep. So yeah, everything's working really well with my current diet for me personally.
Yeah. How come you switched to organic, Steph?
Problems with my IBS, just really bad flare ups. And I know that, and also not eating right for my body type. So I was having, heaps of carbs because I thought that, carbs are for energy, which they are, but my body wasn't liking it. I was feeling lethargic. I wasn't sleeping right. I was getting bloated, watery. I just felt sluggish. So bringing those carbs down and putting up those fats just suited me better. And I did a test called the primal pattern test. And this is how to figure out, what kind of diet you should be on. It will ask you a heap of questions, like, like as extensive as it can get, like a million questions on you. And then it will like figure out these numbers and what type of diet you should be on. So yeah, that test revealed that amongst other tests that I've done. So and I just did it and it just worked for me straight away. I don't know if it's placebo or if it's actually like what my body's wanting. And I think there is no like one diet fits all. I think that we're all different and have different genetics, and you've got to keep trying and doing what's best for you. A coach may say, you should be having 200 grams because I've done your programming and that's what it says it should be. But that might not work for you, and that's okay. So it's just really important to test these things and keep trying until you figure out, what works.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I always say that you need to be your own detective. And
Yeah.
I think when you've got something like IBS, you need to even more so. I've got iron guts, Steph. Like you can throw anything at me and my body's fine. But, there's so many people that have so much sensitivities and food intolerances that you do have to trial and error for sure. Yeah, and is there any supplements that you wouldn't do without, or are you anti-supplement, or where do you sit with that?
So I've been the girl that has been on a billion supplements, like, oh, I'm not getting vitamin D, have a vitamin D. I'm not getting calcium, have a calcium. And then I've been on like 16 supplements before and felt horrible. And then I've been on nothing. And now in today, I always go back to what I used to do because I'm changing so much. But in today's world, I'm on nothing at all. That was just to clear my liver out, give my body a break. And I think like one of the gut sensitivity problems that I have is stress and cortisol. So trying to clean out my system as much as possible and go without and try and get your vitamins and minerals from food if you can. The only supplement that I do have is electrolytes in my water when I'm training, just to keep me hydrated and get the sodium in for energy. But that's about it. Other than that, I'm not on anything. I think I just started taking a probiotic. That's about it. But once again, that was for my gut health. So keeping it clean as much as I can.
Keeping it really simple, which I think's great advice anyway. I'm personally not the biggest fan of supplements and too many vitamins and minerals. I think it should be all, sourced from the food. So yeah, we're on the same page there. So
Yeah,
last but not least, Steph,
yes.
what do you like to do when you're just chilling and relaxing? Like, what do you do aside from the gym?
Ah, there is no such thing. No, I'm kidding. I really just like to sit in my trackies and watch Netflix. That's fun. That's a thing I like to do with my partner. We'll watch a series and like watch at least one ep every 2 days if we can, if we get a moment. So I really enjoy doing that. I like taking the kids out to like little cafes and we'll get like a milkshake or something, go for a walk. I really like going for walks actually. I like the fresh air, I like the sun. It's clarity to the mind. Um,
Sounds
yeah,
to me like you like the very, very simple things.
I really am. I'm a very simple person. I grew up in the country. I don't like to. I don't. I'm a housebody, you could say. Like I don't like going out shopping. I'd rather shop online. I don't like going to the beach. The water makes me itchy. Just like activities with the kids, or do something with the partner. I'm pretty simple.
Look, I have a hot date every Saturday night with Netflix in my pajamas, Stephanie, and I think it's the best way to spend some time. We've all got to have a bit of downtime, don't we?
Yeah, just where you don't have to think
Yeah.
for once.
Yeah. Oh, well, I would say that just about wraps it up today. That was really awesome, getting to know a little bit more about you and your history and your thoughts on a few different topics there. And, just getting that personal feel that perhaps, we don't hear all this stuff about Stephanie Sanzo on Instagram. But of course, for you listeners, if you didn't know Stephanie Sanzo, you can look her up on Instagram and start following her. And of course, you'll be able to find this podcast on a few different platforms. And look, thanks very much for giving up your time today, Steph, to talk to me. Hopefully some of our local Geelong listeners will tune in, and also those elsewhere. And I just want to wish you All the best in these very strange times over the next few weeks. Hopefully, we don't get locked down here in Geelong in the next little while. And, I'll look forward to talking to you again soon, Steph.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's good to be able to reconnect years later, and it's crazy because you had a huge part to play in my journey as well back in the day. You were my coach for many years, and you really helped introduce me into the bodybuilding world. And yeah, so thank you for playing a role in my life. It's a joy to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, always good to talk with you, Steph. All right, take care, okay?
Thank you.